A school with a single student staying open in swift current, but at what cost? That story and
a recent break-in at this home has left one family shaken.
It was distressing knowing that I was downstairs and my children were upstairs. And, scary.
Coming up, we'll tell you how break-ins are evolving and how you can protect your personal belongings and yourself.
Canadian immigration numbers are about to get squeezed, and some leaders here in this province are not impressed.
I'm disappointed actually when I hear that. I will be extremely concerned if that's the case.
We always welcome immigrants to our province.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
This religious relic is part of the body of the soon-to-be Saint Carlo Acutis. He's the first millennial saint.
He would have been only 7 years older than me, and he's quite relatable.
I'm going to tell you all about him coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A recent break-in at a St. John's home has left a mark on the homeowners. Now the family is warning others. They believe it's all a symptom of a much larger problem. Here and Now's Jessica Singer has that story.
It was 9 o'clock on a Monday night when someone broke into this home. They likely came in through the back door, grabbed a bag, and ran. Police say this is now the most common type of break and enter, a crime of opportunity, and it's changing how families feel in their own home. Nicole Hughes was doing work in the basement. Her husband was out, and her 3 young children were in bed upstairs. She heard someone walking around upstairs. She thought it was her husband, but his car wasn't in the driveway.
I think as soon as I noticed the van wasn't there, it was panic. It was distressing knowing that I was downstairs and my children were upstairs. And, scary. So I'm glad everybody was okay and we are safe. But just knowing that somebody was that close in my home, that close to my children, is a very uncomfortable and scary feeling.
Panicked, Hughes called her husband and checked on the children. She didn't hear a door slam, doors that were not locked.
I never had felt the need to lock every door and every window when I'm awake before. Once someone's in your home, it's a next level of, just violation of your personal space.
She's lost 2 pairs of glasses, a wallet, a set of car keys, bank information, and her kids' MCP cards. Hughes has lived here for almost 5 years and says other neighbors have had break-ins too. We got the stats on break-in enters from the RNC, and the numbers go up and down over the years, but there's no clear rise in this type of crime. But the RNC says the numbers don't tell the whole story.
We certainly believe there's events that go unreported. There was a period of time in recent months where we saw events occurring between 7 p.m. and midnight, when essentially we believe people were at home and some of these crimes of opportunity played out.
Police say break-in enters aren't always someone coming into a home and ransacking the place. People are looking through windows and doors, and if they can get in, they'll take things like a purse, a wallet, a phone, anything that's in plain sight.
It's a quick grab and go. So it's a situation where these perpetrators believe they're less likely to be detected.
It's what happened to Hughes, and she's making changes. The family's installed more cameras around their property, they're looking at new locks for the doors, and they got a dog. It's also changed how Hughes acts.
I have noticed, because my kids have sports activities, or my husband, may pop out in the evening, that I'm more alert, looking out the windows, checking the locks more excessively than ever. Are all the doors locked? Probably every hour when I'm home, again before I'm going to bed. So, just being a lot more vigilant as soon as we're all in the house.
Police say one of the best ways to protect your home from a break-in, lock your windows and your doors, even when you're home. Jessica Singer, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Dr. Todd Young is facing another suspension. Young made near-fatal errors prescribing narcotics from his practice in Springdale. In one case, 2 men overdosed after the doctor miscalculated methadone and Metadol prescriptions. No one was hurt in the second instance, but Young tried hiding his error by changing medical records and backdating documents. He's been suspended for 4 months, but will serve that time in blocks starting next month, so his absence doesn't strain the system. Young was first suspended in 2015 for having a relationship with one patient and hugging and kissing another.
Or prescribed conservative, Vyvanse, Ritalin, whatever.
Well, police are warning the public about 2 new drugs discovered on the Northeast Avalon. Carfentanil is a synthetic opioid that may be 100 times more toxic than fentanyl. It looks similar to table salt, and ingesting just 1 or 2 grains can be fatal. The second drug, methylfentanyl, one of the most potent opioids, it's said to be anywhere from 400 to 6,000 times stronger than morphine. The RNC believes both drugs were sold as fentanyl. A 26-year-old has been arrested and charged with dangerous driving on the Avalon after officers clocked him going 200 kilometers per hour. Officers stopped the man Wednesday evening on the TCH in St. John's. The man also got a ticket and had his license suspended and his vehicle seized. Speeding more than 51 kilometers over the speed limit results in a mandatory 7-day trip to the impound lot and a docking of 6 demerit points. Well, imagine being in elementary school and having no classmates. Now imagine you're the only student in the entire school. That's the case at Swift Current Academy. And as the CBC's Catherine Crummy explains, it has consequences for other families in the community.
This school is busy. It's got hundreds of kids and lots of choice for academics and extracurriculars. This one is not. Swift Current Academy has 1 student for the 2nd year in a row. Now, 16 students are actually zoned for Swift Current Academy, but 15 go elsewhere, to schools in Clarenville and Arnold's Cove.
The programs up at the school have been depleting, just with students moving and such. You know, there's no sports teams, there's no music program, there's just no extracurricular activities.
Those 15 kids aren't eligible for a bus. For most families, that means a 40 to 50 kilometer school commute every day.
I mean, financially, it's a big thing. So they're paying out of pocket to go. Time, people work. So they got to find the time to go back and forth, and not everybody can carpool. So, and it's wear and tear on your vehicle, so that sort of thing. So it's been presenting a lot of difficulties.
For that 1 student, there's a teacher, a secretary, a janitor, and a bus driver. In 2017, there was a move to close the school. A school district document at the time revealed that closing the school would save $440,000 a year, and that was 7 years ago.
We have been told this before when the school came up for renew and, review and that sort of thing, whether or not we were going to close it. They said it would be up to the parents to decide if it's going to close. Now, there hasn't been 100% consent to say that it was going to close, so it's up to those involved with the school right now whether the school will probably close. Pretty much ultimately, yeah, right now it's one person's decision whether it stays open or not.
No one from the Department of Education would do an interview with the CBC, but in a statement, a spokesperson said projected and actual enrollment is used to inform decisions related to school closures, along with consultation from the community. Catherine Crummy, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, Ottawa is slashing the number of immigrants entering this country. It's a decision that's raising eyebrows in this province from an advocate and our own immigration minister. Here and Now's Terry Roberts explains.
Adapting to a new home is not always a walk in the park. And this consultant says immigrants are sometimes used as a scapegoat.
So a lot of people think immigrants are taking jobs from Canadians, which is factually untrue. Immigrants are taking jobs that a lot of Canadians aren't willing to work. So low-paying jobs.
Today, the federal immigration minister confirmed previous reports. Ottawa is cutting the number of new permanent residents from 485,000 this year to 395,000 in 2025, and further reductions to 380,000 in 2026 and 365,000 in 2027. Mark Miller says it's necessary to stabilize the country's ballooning population and relieve pressure on the housing market.
I'm disappointed actually when I hear that.
This consultant's firm aims to amplify BIPOC voices and advocates for underrepresented communities. She says immigration is the only way to ensure Newfoundland and Labrador has long-term sustainability.
Immigrants make up a lot of the capital C programs in our economy, so the caretaking, the cooking, and the cleaning, those are typically where you find immigrants working.
Newfoundland and Labrador is allocated more than 3,000 economic immigration spaces annually, and it's being reflected in the population. 14 consecutive quarters of growth. This government minister has actually been lobbying Ottawa for more spaces.
That's all the nurses coming in, the construction workers, the social workers, the paramedics.
Stoodley calls Ottawa's cuts irrational.
Our economic prosperity relies on economic immigration.
We always welcome immigrants to our province.
The opposition says the province needs to clean up its own act.
As late as this past weekend, I was talking to a nurse who was moved away because he wasn't offered a full-time job.
As for Imba, she's not convinced the housing crunch can be blamed on immigration.
I don't think it's so much that we're in a housing crisis as to how many homes individuals actually own.
The new immigration levels will cause the national population to drop by 0.2% over the next 2 years. The federal minister says it will also reduce the housing supply gap by more than 650,000 housing units by 2027. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
It's not every day that a religious relic of a soon-to-be saint shows up at churches in St. John's, but that's exactly what this is, and that's exactly what's happening this week. This is part of the heart membrane of Carlo Acutis, a soon-to-be saint. Now, if this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
This is Blessed Carlo. He's the first millennial saint. He'll be canonized as a saint or approved as a saint next year, 2025.
Now, for people who know a lot about saints, or even a little about saints, there's not many young ones. How significant is making this young man a saint?
Significant is quite rare, right? Someone who's close to our age today. He died in 2006, and he is the first saint, I believe, to be buried in jeans and sneakers.
How did Carlo become a saint? What did he do?
He lived an exceptional life of heroic virtue. He loved the poor. He had a great love for the Eucharist and the Mass. He was even known to bring his parents to Mass and drag them to Mass, right? Usually you hear the other way around.
I understand his parents didn't. He found God on his own, and he also used the internet to spread the word. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, he was savvy at computer programming, so he built websites to catalog all these Eucharistic miracles of the church, and he hoped that other people would come to know and believe in the true presence of God in that too.
Did he amass a big following doing this online?
He did, yeah, quite a big following. Today, even we have some of his web pages printed out, and a lot of people have seen them around the world.
The Catholic Church, obviously, you're trying to get some numbers up, you're trying to get young people involved.
Yeah.
Do you think having somebody that they can relate to, the patron saint of the internet, do you think that that might help more young people get involved in the Catholic Church?
I think so, yes, definitely. He makes sainthood relatable, and going to Mass and having a great relationship with God relatable, right?
Talk a little bit about the relic. First of all, what is the religious relic?
Yes, so this religious relic is a first-class relic of Blessed Carlo, meaning that it's a piece of his body. So it's a piece or fragment of his pericardium, or the heart. We call it a reliquary, so it's this kind of golden piece that houses the relic.
It's on tour in Newfoundland and Labrador, but where else has it been before it came to this province?
It just came from Nova Scotia, and I'll be heading over to Ontario next week.
So while it's in Newfoundland and Labrador, where is it going to go?
It's going to be here at St. John's, the Basilica. It'll be out in Mount Pearl at Our Lady Queen of Families. It'll be out in the Guelphs at St. Kevin's. It'll be out at CBS at St. Edward's as well.
So as somebody who is a missionary, and your job or what you want to do is spread the word, how big of a deal is it for you personally to be able to have a religious relic of a soon-to-be saint under your watchful eye for the next couple of days?
Yeah, it means a lot. It's a great honor, especially as a saint of about my generation. He would have been only 7 years older than me, and he's quite relatable. It reminds me that, sainthood is close and nearby, and it's relatable to me.
What was the reaction, or what have you seen, or how have you seen people react to the religious relic that's on the table there?
Yeah, I think I've seen so many people just walk in the door and come and venerate or look at the relic and ask for Blessed Carlo's prayers. It was amazing to see such a long line at the Basilica here.
Well, we've certainly got a lot of rain on the way over the next 24 to 36 hours. Most of that rain now south of Nova Scotia, but as we head through tonight, it is really going to move in. Environment Canada has issued some rainfall warnings as well as some wind warnings in place across the island. I will break all of that forecast down for you coming up a little later in the show.
Porter Airlines is now providing year-round, non-stop flights between St. John's and Ottawa. The St. John's Airport Authority says there's been a high demand for the route since it launched in June. And while it began as a seasonal offering, it was popular enough for the airline to offer the flights all year long. The flights will operate 4 times a week.
Well, just off the beach here in Witless Bay is a natural wonder, a small island just out there, home to over 500,000 Atlantic puffins, and one of them, a baby puffin, a puffling, has landed itself a long way from home, safe in a Montreal sanctuary. Here's Uno, exploring her new home in the biodome for the first time. But how did she get here?
So this little guy was injured But as soon as I saw him, I thought, oh boy. We didn't know if he was going to survive the night, really. His head was so swollen. His eye was shut. There was a lot of head trauma.
Often the puffins can be diverted, especially the young ones can be drawn to the lights in the communities along the coastline, and that can get them into trouble. Uno is blind in one eye. The injured puffin was brought to Karen Goss. Her Rock Wildlife Rescue Group is no stranger to saving birds.
She was with us over a month, for sure over a month. There was two ways this could have gone. We either helped her recover, her recover, and she was released again if she were sighted in that eye, or she was euthanized. And then the third option came in with the biodome. It was a bit nerve-wracking shipping her. When she was received in Montreal, we got the call that she was great, and then they'd go into her isolation unit up there, and veterinarians would make sure that she was health checked before she was released with the general population.
We're gonna take care of him, like, no matter what. We had to arrange a private transport for him by plane, and we had to get him at the airport. So a lot of people involved. Here at the Biodome, there's a big group of technicians taking care of him every day.
She will live out a life that is amazing. Her freedom won't be lacking. She will be with other puffins. It's a perfect scenario, really.
Uno is just one little puffling, and so much time, effort, energy, expense, and compassion have gone into giving this stray little seabird a second chance at life. Some might ask, why go through all the trouble?
So she'll live with other puffins in a breeding program. They'll have their burrows, they have an ocean, they have a sky for all intents and purposes. Her genetic material will be shared with other facilities across the world who are doing the same thing with different breeding programs.
We now know that it's a female. So she's going to be joining the colony, and in about 5 years or so, when she gets sexually mature, hopefully she's going to find a mate, reproduce, and it's going to bring new genetic within the biodome's population and within the captive population. That's really important for the survival of the species. We've got to make sure that this new blood is pretty important to the genetic diversity.
Now, out here in the wild, puffins can live to be about 20 years old, but in the safety of the biodome, they can live much longer than that. Right now, there's a 34-year-old puffin that calls Montreal home, so who knows, maybe visitors to the biodome will be saying bonjour to Uno decades from now. Carolyn Stokes, CBC News, Witless Bay.
Look at that one over there.
Is this good?
Yeah, a little bit more. That felt good.
Therapeutic almost. There's a wrestling ring down there. What's that about?
This is wild.
We are the grade 5 class of St. Mary's Elementary, and Ashley's weather is next.
Hi, I'm Rick Mercer with the offer of a lifetime and a very big ask. In less than a year, the 2025 Canada Games are coming to Newfoundland and Labrador, and that means we've got company coming, big time. The numbers are mind-boggling. This coming August, 25,000 people from all across Canada are going to descend on this province for the Games, and every single one of them can't wait to get here. They've heard good things, so we need to ensure they have the time of their life, the games of their life. As a province, we've got to knock this one out of the park. So here's the ask. We need you to represent Team Newfoundland and Labrador at the Games. We need 5,000 volunteers, all ages, all skills. You would not believe the jobs that need to be filled, the experience you will get, the friends you will make. To make these games work, there are so many moving pieces, but the most important piece, the final piece, the mission-critical piece is you. Visit the website, join the team.
All right, Ashley, some big weather coming. I was driving on Elizabeth Avenue earlier and I saw a gentleman out with a rake clearing off the drain, and I thought that was a good idea.
That is a great idea. You still got some time this evening if you haven't had a chance to do that, to clear those storm drains if you were anywhere from Central through to the Avalon. And that's because we've got a lot of rain going on. Let's see what's going on right now. So we've got an area of low pressure and a couple of fronts. That's what's dropped the temperatures for those of you up across Labrador and the Northern Peninsula. And then we've got this area of low pressure to the south tapping into some tropical moisture, and that is what is going to be responsible for bringing all of that rain. You can really see that cold air moving in across Labrador, and this is going to stick around for a little while, and eventually we're going to see those temperatures drop across the island as well. Here's a look at today's daytime temperatures, anywhere from 17 to 19 degrees for areas across the island. Very mild. This is about 9 degrees or 7 to 9 degrees warmer than where you should be sitting this time of year. Labrador, you've been seeing your temperatures drop, but overnight last night and into the early morning this morning, Happy Valley Goose Bay was at 17 degrees, Cartwright 14, and even 17 in St. Anthony as well. Here's that drop that I was talking about. So it is quite dramatic with that cold front. Single digits, 0 degrees in Lab City, a bit of a wind chill there as well, feeling more like -5, but still very much seeing that mild tropical feeling air. When you're outside, it does feel a bit humid out there. And that's because we've got southerly winds at the moment. Those winds will shift to northerly and temperatures will drop over the next couple of days. So most of today we've just been seeing on and off showers. Some of that rain now associated with that area of low pressure starting to move in, and some of these will be heavy at times and really will be heavy at times as we head through the night. You can see some of those heavier showers there to the south of Nova Scotia at the moment, and that is what is going to move in. So Environment Canada has a rainfall warning in place that extends from Burgeo through to the interior, the Bay of Exploits, and east towards the Avalon. And there's also a wind warning in place for the Burgeo area, where you are going to see winds gusting around 80 kilometers per hour. Now towards the coast, you may see some gusts upwards of 100, but that will be tomorrow afternoon and into the evening hours. I'll get into that in just a little bit. So, like I said, lots of tropical moisture. The warmer the colors here, the more moisture there is, and this is kind of acting like a fire hose, bringing that rain potentially, which will be heavy, but bringing that in as we head through tonight and into Friday morning. And then we'll see another band of showers potentially just to the west here as we head into the evening hours on Friday, and eventually as this area of low pressure pulls away, it will pull that moisture right along with it. So let's take a look at the timing of this. So over the next couple of hours, we're really going to start to see that rain ramp up. After midnight, this is when we'll see some of the heaviest showers move in. They'll start in the south and work their way north as we head into early morning hours. And again, mainly the eastern half of the island at that point. Temperatures are going to stay mild for the most part. For St. John's, about 13 degrees. That sun icon should be clouds for Port aux Basques, but we're looking at about 12 degrees tonight. Single digits, though, still to the north and up across Labrador. Some cold air in behind that front, -8 to -10 for Lab City as your overnight low. Now, into tomorrow, that rain will continue. So around the time that you're leaving for school or work tomorrow morning, you can expect some pretty heavy downpours. And we'll see some of those showers work their way west, the heavier showers anyway, work their way west into the afternoon and evening hours. We might even see a little bit of a break for the Avalon, but that is the west coast chance, the western portion rather, chance at seeing some of those showers through the day. And it will continue for a good chunk. Now, we're talking about rainfall rates as high as 10, 15, even 20 millimeters per hour falling. So that is very heavy rain. And this is just till tomorrow afternoon. We could be talking about 50 to 75 millimeters of rain, then more on top of that. So that could bring those rainfall amounts to as high as 75, 100, maybe even in excess of 100. And I think if we do see that, though, it will be the Burin Peninsula and southern Avalon that have the best chance of seeing that. Now, as far as the winds go, not overly impressive until we get into tomorrow. That's when that risk of 90 to 100 kilometer per hour winds will be on the south coast of the island. Really widespread gusts between 60 to 80, but some of the heavier winds by Friday evening, possible for Bonavista North, and then eventually again Saturday as we see that area of low pressure pull away. I'll get into the long range forecast coming up a little later.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, an international ocean research program is coming to Canada for the first time, and it's landing at Memorial University's Marine Institute. 10 graduate scholars are here until next spring, all part of the Partnership for Observation of the Global Ocean Program, known as POGO. Here Now's Mark Quinn has more about their work.
They've come to eastern Newfoundland from as far away as Bangladesh, Brazil, Mexico, and Ghana. Speaking broadly, the goal of these POGO scholars is to work towards a better understanding of this, the vast interconnected oceans that covers 70% of our planet.
We kind of believe we've mapped our ocean and know so much about it. And I've said on a number of occasions, and many people globally have said it, we know more about the moon and Mars than we know about our ocean.
Brett says there's still a lot to learn about the oceans.
We ran a mapping mission from here to Ireland. And during that mission, we were doing some high-resolution mapping. We discovered a mountain. A mountain is 2.1 kilometers tall. There was no evidence on modern-day maps, but here it was, sitting in the middle of the Atlantic, which is about 4 kilometers deep in the area where this 2-kilometer-high mountain was sitting. So it just speaks to how little we know about the topography of the ocean floor.
I always loved the sharks and the rays. They're fascinating to me.
Over the next 10 months, these graduate students will be studying oceans on both the east and west coasts of Canada, looking to expand on what they've already learned, knowledge that could benefit fish harvesters and residents here.
My research is on bycatch, on understanding and mitigating rays and sharks bycatch.
This graduate student from Ghana is also studying a global problem, damage caused by increasingly severe storms and rising oceans.
With using geographic information systems, that's like satellites and drones, to map out areas that are vulnerable to coastal flooding and coastal erosion.
Marine Institute leaders say with the resources available here, these scholars will contribute to our growing understanding of the importance of biodiversity and the potential impacts of climate change. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
I couldn't even envision this to be something that came out so special and so beautiful.
Coming up, a special tribute to someone special, how a bike helps one man remember his wife while raising awareness for cancer. There's a motorcycle with a message on display in Mount Pearl. It's a bike Shane McGrath made in tribute to his wife, Danielle, who died from brain cancer. Today is Brain Cancer Awareness Day, and Shane wants people to learn more about the disease that ended his wife's life. Here Now's Jessica Singer shares their story.
A custom-built, sparkly silver motorcycle covered in painted details that shine a light on Danielle McGrath's adventurous spirit. Shane McGrath had the bike made in his late wife's honor. She died from brain cancer just over a year ago.
She was absolutely fearless, and, you know, in the face of the most tragic and devastating diagnosis you could probably ever receive, she took it with so much grace and strength and respect, and just her appreciation of life and love and family is unmatchable.
Danielle was diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma in 2021. She died a couple years later at 32, leaving behind many loved ones, including her dog and young daughter, Winter. Their faces are immortalized on the Harley-Davidson bike, along with her hockey jersey number, the brain cancer ribbon, and birds that pay tribute to the final moments of her life.
We've got doves flying over Danielle's head, which was a tattoo of hers and her mother's. When Danielle passed, she actually was holding her hand, and I got the tattoo as well with the doves, but I had them kept white to kind of show that peace and love as she left us.
Shane wants people to learn Danielle's story and to donate to the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada in her honor. Shane and Danielle's families both love motorcycles, so he thought a bike was the perfect way to raise awareness.
It's overwhelming. Just such a beautiful tribute, and the way it all came together, everybody involved, it's something that, you know, it absolutely was, I couldn't even envision it to be something that came out so special and so beautiful.
While Shane remembers his wife for her fearlessness, his grandfather Patrick McGrath remembers family dinners with Danielle when he'd play her the song "You Are My Sunshine" on his harmonica. Jessica Singer, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Well, if you'd like to see the bike for yourself, it will be on display at the Rugged Rock Harley-Davidson in Mount Pearl until Saturday. A snapshot today of the Canadian healthcare system. The Canadian Institute for Health Information has released its report card on how provinces are doing in providing access to care. As Jennifer Yoon reports, the results are a bit of a surprise.
A key finding from this report, most Canadian adults have access to a regular healthcare provider, 83% to be precise. That's a number that's a pleasant surprise, even for the folks who compiled this data, the Canadian Institute for Health Information, or CIHI.
The one thing that surprised me was the number of people who said that they had access to a regular healthcare provider. And I think most of us think having access to primary healthcare is really an important linchpin in our managing our own health services.
Even with most Canadian adults able to access primary care, that still leaves 5.4 million adults without access. And access varies greatly depending on where you live, how old you are, and your sex. Here's the geographical breakdown. The 3 territories are struggling. Nunavut at 42%, Northwest Territories 59%, and Yukon 78%. Some of the Atlantic provinces are also lagging. PEI 73%, Nova Scotia 79%, Newfoundland and Labrador 78%. Another big disparity is between age groups. Young adults between 18 and 34 are the least likely to report that they had access to a regular healthcare provider. Older adults, 65 and up, most likely to report access at 92%. A higher percentage of females reported access, 87%, compared to the 79% for males. For those who can't access primary primary care, there can be serious consequences, like this 20-year-old who lives with several chronic illnesses. This past May, she was a year post-septic shock. She didn't have a family doctor, so it was a struggle to find care.
I remember doing the wild goose chase and going to 2 or 3 hospitals over a number of days before I was actually able to get seen and supported, which is really unfortunate because that has caused a lot of frustration, mental health stress, and even times where I feel so defeated that it's my family pushing me out the door to go back to the hospital.
Other findings from the report: the number of surgeries completed has rebounded to pre-pandemic levels, and centres offering integrated mental health services for young people have grown across Canada. On the other hand, electronic access to health records, we're not doing so well there. Only 39% of Canadians were able to get their information online. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, in Guelph, Ontario, police have a butter problem. Yes, a butter problem. Thieves keep raiding store shelves and walking away with hundreds of dollars worth of the expensive kitchen staple. Jamie Strachan has more on where all of that butter could be going.
This Guelph grocery store, the scene of a butter heist that sounds more like a bank robbery.
There was a white sedan that was seen at the back of the business. They loaded the butter in and away they went.
Nearly $1,000 worth of butter melted away into thin air, stolen by 2 men.
It's certainly unusual, but there is we believe an organized crime aspect to it.
That crime is now the talk of the city.
I can't imagine why they're stealing butter.
What are they going to do with that much butter?
They've got a recipe, I'm sure.
But there's more to this case.
The robbery at this store was not a one-off. It turns out in Guelph there's been a butter crime wave. 7 such thefts in the last year.
It's not clear if the heists are connected, but police do say most of the butter ends up on the black market or on resale websites, often at a discount.
It's particularly easy to find a buyer, to find someone who actually is interested in buying butter like that.
As a stolen food, it's quite practical.
For thieves, when it comes to butter, is that you can actually keep butter for a very long time. You can freeze it.
We've got 2 delicious cookies for you.
Jordan Foster gets it.
Now I'm fortunate if I can pick up butter for around $6 a pound. So near doubled in the last few years. Literally liquid gold.
Butter is the backbone of her cookie business. She has no interest in going to the black market, but understands why some would.
I could see it would be an interest to stock up, especially if you are someone that leverages or uses butter in a lot of your recipes.
As for the investigation,
there's no serial number on butter. I don't think. There's no VIN, that kind of thing. So it's a little harder to track it down.
All of it, a recipe for a tough solve. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Guelph.
Well, as our Terry Roberts reported earlier, the federal government has announced a major cut to immigration. It's reducing permanent immigration levels by at least 20%.
Today, we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years. This builds on our previously announced measures to cap international student permits and reform the temporary foreign worker program, all of which we are implementing with a single aim: stabilize our population growth to give all levels of government time to catch up.
Now, Trudeau said that following the pandemic, the government didn't get the balance quite right. Today's announcement follows criticism that population growth played a role in the lack of housing and affordability. Now, if you've ever wondered what a real dust devil is, here's your chance to find out. One of the tornado-like storms was captured on video in the United Arab Emirates. You can see it towering over a road where people were traveling. Dust devils are found in temperate and tropical regions around the world. They're created by strong surface heating and are generally smaller and less intense than a tornado.
'Tis the season for ghouls, goblins, and jump scares.
I liked how there was a guy just with the knife and stuff.
We'll have a story on Gander's haunted house tonight.
Well, Gander is scoring pretty high on the spooky and scary scale this week. The town hosted its annual haunted house at an old church. As Here and Now's Troy Turner reports, the scares were aplenty.
It has all the chills and thrills needed for the season. The town of Gander's haunted house keeps its visitors on edge.
I was pretty scared at the beginning, and one of my other friends, we were trying to get her to go through, and we eventually got her to go through. But then like I knew a bunch of people in there, so it wasn't as bad, but it was still, the jump scares were good.
The haunted house used an old church for the maze of creepiness. There was blood and zombies, creepy clowns, even time for a selfie or two.
I feel like there were a lot more like jump scares, which was pretty good, and I like the decorations.
It was really fun. I really do recommend going. It was a bit scary. It was really fun because everyone was jumping out at you in masks.
There was a lot of people standing still following us, and that was definitely the scariest part. Like, I don't mind when people jump at me or like make loud noises, but the people following us was definitely the scariest part.
I enjoyed, it was a little bit creepy and fun, and I liked how there was a guy just with the knife and stuff, and the people jumping out from the thing. It was really cool.
This one was good. It wasn't the scariest one I've been to, but it was better than a lot of them. It's so much easier going in with a group because I feel like I feel more safe, I guess, and I don't feel as scared because there's people with me to experience it, so it's better.
Whether they were spooked just moderately or scared right out of their spine, the people that attended this haunted house say one thing is for certain, that they can't wait for next year to do it all over again. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
And Ashley, I suspect that is something that you might not really enjoy.
I am a hard no.
You don't like being scared like that, hey?
No, I had a bad experience, I guess, when I was a kid. We went to a haunted house, and I went out the chicken door real quick, and I never went back.
Is it like the creatures, or is it the jump scares?
Someone could be behind me right now and just.
Yeah, you don't like it when people like jump out and
yeah,
and that's fair enough.
That's why I'm really not a huge fan of this time of year, just because weather-wise I love it, but Halloween I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't want to be scared. Why do you want to be scared?
Some people love it.
No, fair enough.
And there's a lot of people in the Halloween spirit, it seems. I've been noticing around town a lot of decorations and stuff around, so yeah.
And you're going to want to, figure that out because it's going to get a bit breezy.
Oh, good point.
Tonight and into tomorrow for some areas, so keep an eye on that. And then
if you have anything inflatable or anything on your lawn, you might want to strap it down.
Strap it down, yeah, or just put it away for the night, yeah. Let's take a look at what's going on. Tomorrow is going to be very rainy. We are looking at winds gusting upwards of 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, even 70 kilometers per hour towards the west. And the rainy conditions. Note the temperatures are going to drop, though, for central down to 8 to 10 degrees. And then we're going to hang on to those mild conditions as well for the Avalon and the Burin Peninsula. So still sitting in the upper teens through the day. Again, this will be with lots and lots of rain through the afternoon. Up across Labrador, very different story. You were looking at your temperatures, again, chilly, pretty lovely actually with some sunshine. This is right around where you should be sitting this time of year, but your daytime highs will sit between 4 to 7 degrees. Now here's that area of low pressure. So in the evening hours, we're still going to be dealing with some periods of rain. Some of those heavy showers may linger, but by the time we get into Saturday morning, this area of low pressure will slowly pull away. And in fact, the weather should improve as the day goes on. In behind this front, though, temperatures, or in behind this system rather, temperatures are quite chilly. We've got a more northerly, northwesterly flow. And up across Labrador, talking about the potential for some wet snow in the mix there for your Saturday. Temperatures, no doubt, though, 2 to 5 degrees up across the big land. Single digits for most of the island. Still hanging on to double digits just a little while longer, but still very much cooler than what we're going to see on Friday. But overall, again, unsettled with the day improving into the afternoon and evening hours. For your Sunday, not too bad. We may see some showers move in for the first part of the day, at least to start. We should see some clearing skies as the afternoon rolls around for parts of central and maybe even eastern Newfoundland, but don't be surprised to see some showers lingering for those of you on the west coast. Much colder air filters in for northern portions of Labrador as well as the western portions of Labrador, so better chance of some light snow in the forecast for you on Sunday. -2 will be your daytime highs in Lab City, otherwise 3 to 5 degrees, and then single digits again across the island. Hanging on still for the Burin and Avalon peninsulas, somewhere between 11 and 12 degrees. After that, though, temperatures will drop down to the single digits, certainly by Tuesday with some more rain on the way, it looks like. And then for central Newfoundland, you are looking at single digits as well. But Monday, Tuesday looking pretty decent weather-wise. Western Newfoundland, you'll see a few showers in the mix for your Tuesday, but your overnight lows really dipping -2 to -4 for Western Newfoundland. For Eastern Labrador, a few flurries in the mix right through Monday. Tuesday looks like some cloudy periods, and Labrador, same thing, some light snow right through Monday, with Tuesday hovering around the 0 degree mark. Our weather photo of the day is in Lewisport. Take a look at this beauty.
Oh, gorgeous.
I'm getting tons of fall colors. I love these photos. Just keep them coming. This is Bottom Brook. Irene shared this great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos, send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
It does feel to me like a particularly beautiful fall this year for some reason. I don't know if it's like because we've been having some nice warm temperatures and some sunshine and
yeah, we've been lucky.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got there, but
yeah. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.